right, hello everybody. My camera has disappeared, so I'm in a disembodied head. Let's change that. See what we can do. We'll go to this one. And then we'll go back to this one. And there I am. Hi, I've appeared. Hello everybody, it's Dr. Rich Evner once again, hanging out here for our last stream of the term. So we are wrapping up, all of us are in different ways, right? We are just trying to get by.
And I hope, I'm wishing you all the best
as you're trying to do just that. It's challenging sometimes to get all of your different projects together, especially the deadlines sort of seem to be just overlapping and sometimes do simultaneously and things like that. I'm certainly providing a lot of workshop tips to my students as they finish up the term. So best of luck to you in completing that. So today, our topic is pretty open, and it's
on purpose, right? I have a lot of goals and things like that, and sort of things that I've talked about without you throughout this term. From fall writing goals into writing with web platforms, we've had some awesome guests throughout the term. We've also done some more experimental things, I think, that are unlike what we've seen maybe in past streams and things like that. So, real pleasure to be doing this with you. But how about the last one? I usually like to keep it pretty open because we might have a lot of different questions about projects and things like that. So you can see this next to, this way. Next to me, you can say, want a workshop you're writing, let us know in the chat. If you have something that you want to workshop, let me know. I am happy to pull it up here on the screen, give you some quick feedback. So it's kind of like what we do in the Writing Center. People come with so many different ideas, tasks that they're trying to accomplish, and goals that they're trying to meet. And so that's my offer to you all. If you have things that you want to workshop, we can talk about that. And if we don't, that's okay too. I'm going to actually work on my own stuff and kind of talk aloud about it as I work on it, because I think that sometimes, even if we're not workshopping in pairs, like you might do in class or in small groups, it's helpful to think a lot about workshopping yourself, really, and trying to think critically or take a step back from the work. So I may look at like parts of my book. That's helpful. And I'm happy to talk to you about those ideas, and maybe even workshop it with you all while I talk about it. So before we get more into that, a couple announcements and acknowledgments as usual. Once again, thanks to Dr. John Suffren for supporting this live stream as director of the Writing Center, and to the faculty and staff in the writing department for also supporting it, including being a special guest when I write them and ask them. So again, ever grateful to be part of the stream, to be speaking with you all, and I can't wait to announce what we're doing next year. We're still making some plans for this, so you can expect an announcement early next year as classes start. It'll still be at the same time, 11:30 to 1 on Wednesdays, and you can expect more special guests, some more experimental sort of things, but also very practical things that are useful for your classes. And as always, in addition to this stream, we have numerous workshops. In fact, today I was walking through the department and I heard a workshop being given just through a couple computer speakers and so forth. So we have things going on all the time here in the Writing Center. I host workshops as well. We've got numerous things that are coming up even today. I don't know if there wasn't one today. There was one tomorrow on revising your sentences. So do check that out. If you're thinking about sentence level editing and you don't have an opportunity to ask it on this stream, check that out. And then we'll have new ones announced in the winter as well. Our big thing here in the Writing Center, as I've mentioned in the past streams, is our one-on-one appointments. So if you are looking for ways to enhance your writing, to decode an assignment, to try to understand what someone might be suggesting when they're saying you need to do some line editing, or how you might transform your project into a digital media project, we are here for you. Any stage of the writing process, we can help you. We can talk with you about it and give you a lot of ideas. And that's, what one-on-one appointments are too. They are workshops through and through. because you're bringing text to the screen or to an office and talking through it with somebody else. It's such a massive thing. And if you can advocate for yourself by bringing this to editors who serve as writing center instructors and so forth, you're going to be in good shape when you're submitting projects. Give yourself enough time to make appointments with the writing center if your faculty has not assigned you to go, which is even a great thing as well. We also have drop-in sessions, and we have appointments online. We have supports for in terms of accessibility, as well as indigenous supports. We have a multilingual studio. Cool stuff. Now that's all wrapping up here for the term, and we just have a couple weeks left, including last week of classes and finals week and things like that. But it's never too late to try to sign up. Okay, so we're back to talking about open writing sort of things. The one risk about doing an open writing workshop is that it could be hard to decide what to do when it's that open, right? But fear not, I have a plan for us. You have to have plans if you are a host on a live stream. So first thing I want to mention is, when you're working on workshopping materials, one thing that I just want to stress, and I don't think I've really talked about this term particularly, is trying to hold accountability groups, right? Trying to work in writing groups that are maybe a bit more informal and aren't affiliated with the writing center, but are ways in which you can hold yourself and your peers accountable for getting work done. So I was looking at this morning. It was a couple tips from an article on Writer's Digest, which it's a go-to resource for me, finding practical advice on writing studies and writing situations. From conceptualizing writing for the web to time management. All of this stuff factors into writing groups. So this article here is called Team Up, What Makes Writing Groups Work, and we've got a lot of helpful comments from these writing groups. What they really value and what seems to work for them when they're setting up a workshop environment. Because the reality is, when you're working as a writer and you're outside of classes, it can be really hard to stay motivated because you don't have somebody telling you how long the word count, or how long the essay must be in terms of word count, how long it should be in general, when it has to be submitted. You will get assignments, things like that. You will get deadlines. But if you're working, let's say, on an academic book project like I am now, or you're working on something in the more creative realm, creative nonfiction, fiction, things like that, it's hard to stay motivated when you're just the only one working on it. And so having a kind of workshop group, or even just a group in which you write together, being around other human beings, as they're sort of saying, can be immensely powerful. And a kind of passive workshop, I might even say. As I sort of say here, writing often is a solitary endeavor, one that can easily lead to loneliness. If you're not workshopping things with people, even in very low stakes ways, you might feel very lonely. I've been there before. Writing a book is a very lonely process, unless you're kind of in the company of others. And so a couple of things that they mentioned here, again, these are from all different parts of the world. What they're saying is they try to keep things very informal with their workshops and do it face-to-face, but also keep a sort of Facebook group. They also arrange additional focused workshops. We'll do writing, or we'll do exercises. Usually break into smaller dedicated working groups based on people's chosen genres. So here's an interesting thing. Like sometimes with these writing groups, workshop is kind of fundamental to it. But others will just say, we're going to get together and write. And we're going to ask questions when we need to, but there's no expectation that you show up ready to have something critiqued and ready to offer critiques. Sometimes it's just working together. Discord is another place where this kind of happens. I know students in the Professional Writing Student Association get together and just work together, study together. And while that's not really a form of workshopping, it's a space where we can get there eventually if we need to. We need to show something. So that's a great idea to have here. Additional focused workshops that we might entertain when we need to. So let's say like all kind of on similar deadlines, but we need to look at our work together. This happens with my colleagues too. We write together sometimes and we don't say anything at all. We don't even show each other our work. But when we really are in a time of need, like an approaching deadline, these kind of writing groups can be really helpful. We do monthly critiques as well, and that's another way to do it. Like every week, if you need it, every month, if someone wanted to just share, let's say, the introduction or the conclusion to their project, it could be a great way. So there's so many fluctuating ways of this sort of approach that you think about here. That writers may need supports and so forth. So it gets a bit tricky when you're trying to do that. But I really like this idea that you create a sanctuary for writers to know they can say what's on their minds and get advice, i.e. workshop when they need to. It doesn't need to be in a vacuum, as they sort of put it. And so the additional ideas here sort of in these different groups. So for example, this next one, if we're used to working freely independently, we might need to have some accountability by emailing each other chapters. 30 minutes apiece to workshop or to read critiques. 10 minutes of critiquing. So you can see in this one, they're kind of keeping it a bit more structured. If you're going to workshop, you might want to do it in 10 to 30 minute sessions. And not let anybody in the group overspeak, right, which is a challenge. I know when I used to do workshops, some of my professors would just set the timer for 5 minutes, and you could say what you needed to say, and you're gone. And if you said less, sure, that's fine, but at least you have a time limit. I like this idea that if someone gets defensive, duct tape is threatened. That's kind of the idea of getting a response. When you're workshopping your work, you want to be, it's good to get used to getting negative feedback, right? Just keep an open mind, keep an open ear to these ideas. But you can still support each other by holding others accountable for saying instructive, informative things, not just outright nasty sort of things. There's a tact we have to have when we're workshopping. A couple of things. What I'm noticing in this too, and one thing to think about is how big do you want your workshop to be if you put it together? Now, if you're in a writing class, you're most likely going to have 20 other people, So I like to do small group workshops, and then maybe just a large one every once in a while. Personally, I find small groups are better. In fact, I'm going to venture to say, I think 10 to 12 people is way, way too big for a writing workshop group. If you're just working together, let's say on Zoom, and not really workshopping materials, but just being present, that's different. But if you're trying to share your work and have that kind of structure, I find just 2 or 3 people is enough. Week to week, we kind of look at each other's work quickly, and then we get back to what we're doing, trying to problem solve. So maybe even no more than 3. Find some of your close friends that are in class or fellow writers and connect with them, either in an online format or in person. I'll always support in person too. I think that's just an amazing thing about the writing process. We can get together, show each other our work. It just takes away some of those barriers. But I also acknowledge that we're difficult, especially if our closest friends or our peers or even colleagues are in different parts. So as I sort of say here, tips for adhering to group guidelines is absolutely the best way of maintaining a successful writing group. Yeah, so you need to have those kind of boundaries, whether it's timed or it's everybody's signing up and you have someone sort of managing the group. Professors are hopefully skilled in doing that and sort of moderating. But you probably need a moderator to make sure that this group continues, right? I play games every Wednesday, and I write with people to see what we write, and then we play games later. I do it on Thursdays as well, and we have very clear boundaries of the times we're going to do it and the times we're going to stop. And we make sure that everybody gets a turn to share their ideas. And it doesn't happen naturally. You need somebody there to kind of be the moderator, to keep the calendar and so forth. Or you need to rotate around. That's certainly something I've done too. When I've organized writing groups, it shouldn't be just one person doing it for an extended period. You should have multiple people taking turns leading the charge, let's say every other month or something like that. Yeah, so there's a couple other things. I mean, this is a massive group that I was, again, here, 25 folks. You know, they offer feedback, they make mentors available for beginners and hold workshops on all aspects of writing, but they have it such that they do 2 weekly critique groups a week in terms of having, I guess, so it's almost like multiple meetings that I was reading here. I like this idea of when you're workshopping, maybe it's not enough. In a large group, you need to break out into smaller ones, as they suggest here, 2 weekly critique groups in which writers offer the writing for more intense and detailed feedback. See, that's what I'm after, is that detailed feedback. And honestly, if 20 people are critiquing your work, that's really overwhelming, right? So if you kind of break it into smaller groups and then maybe just write together in those large group settings, it can be kind of a symbiotic relationship you've established with group mates and so forth. But you know, on the other side, I would say too, like as they say here in the lesson point of view, become stronger writers, stronger in their variety of writing, continue to learn about the changing world of publishing and marketing. The best thing we learn, however, is about friendship and bonding between writers helping writers. So a large group could struggle to do that unless there are smaller group sort of workshops. You're getting exposed to so many different writing situations when you're in a larger group, but doing something in more intense, smaller sessions, critique groups, for example, can help you build those sort of bonds. But if you're just lost in the shuffle, especially if this is online, something like that, it's challenging to get your name out there. And there's some additional things here. I'll link to this in the description if you want to read about it. But, you know, they're sort of discussing here, like, changing formats and so forth. Maybe you find that when you're workshopping, it just isn't helpful if you're talking about a long-term project, but rather a short-term one. And so changing things up on a regular basis can be very helpful, because say, if we're doing like a writing prompt, that might be a mode of invention, or sort of creative brainstorming, you might say, for your next project. You're not always going to be working on a long-term project, and if you are, you might want to pivot for a bit just to try something different. Personally, like, I have enjoyed working on this book and so forth, but I get a lot of energy when I can shift gears a little bit or change my approach. Let's say work on the shorter essay or something, more traditional essay that, you know, isn't 65,000 words, things like that. Okay, so wanted to call that one out and kind of think about that for a little bit. So I'll show you what I'm working on right now. This is something that I've been spending a lot of time on, and you know, I'm ready to get it kind of workshopped a little bit more. I've been sending it out to a few folks and getting good feedback from them. I can talk to you about sort of what my challenges are. I might even venture to set a timer for a little bit to work a bit on this. And so yeah, if you want to work with me a little bit, feel free to do that. Let me just get this situated real quick. Yeah, you know, I may just do that. Let's set a timer for that. Let's see. Pomodoro timer. Do something like this. So I haven't set it just yet. I'm going to set it for just a little longer, if it lets me do that. Okay, so we'll probably do this, let's say about 30 minutes. What kind of sound? Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that's okay too. I don't know about that sound. Dark mode when running. I'm always about dark mode. I'm okay with that. Okay. So, 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about some of my goals today, some of the struggles I'm having, and how I might be thinking about when workshopping. So, with this book, what I'm doing right now is I need to change this up just a little bit. Working on parts of my book, Living Digital Media, and I've been doing quite a bit in terms of code and things of that sort. So the problem I'm having is making these kind of transcripts available and encoding them in ways that are productive. So I can't decide, let me pull this up. What I can't decide is, do I want to format them as tables, which can be a little tricky sometimes. So something like this, right? Put my timestamp in, things of that sort, see what happens. Or do I want it to be kind of a more vertical approach? Right now it's a table that has audio and video and timestamps to it. And the goal being that someone could just listen through or read through the audio portions of it and then perhaps just the video. This is a bit different maybe because usually like with this I will arrange it like something like this. So I have music and then the video sort of thing, but there is something interesting about lining it up in a horizontal way so that it's kind of a one-to-one match, right? Because the assumption is when you're doing it here as a video, and this is first, the assumption is that it's running this entire time, and that may not actually be true. So what I've got to do is probably go back and parse this out a little bit, see sort of how it looks. Okay, so I'll talk as I'm going, as I'm kind of thinking through some of this stuff. I'll go ahead and set my little timer there. Maybe I'll pin this up at the top. In now. Okay, so we probably need to do totally fine, no big deal at all. I'm going to pop it over here actually so that we can put it on this side. Safari, time to focus is telling me. Okay. There we go. We will just take this and make it look like more official, which it is, right? Now, if I were workshopping your work, I would do the exact same thing and say, like, let's just look at this for about 30 minutes. Because if you think if you're in the writing center, right, that's about how long you have. You don't have much. Testing. Just checking my audio. I noticed that it kind of sort of may have stopped, which would be annoying. Let's pick this. Go back to, yeah, looks like it bugged out a little bit.
Okay. So I don't know if I bugged out for roughly half an hour. If I did, no worries. we will edit accordingly. But I noticed my mic wasn't picking up much noise, so we'll have to do that. So that all being said, we have so far, if we're just sort of catching up, we've been working on talking through writing sort of workshop principles and things like that. So maybe I'll link to some of those things. But now what I've been sort of saying, just in case that was off, is workshopping some of my own materials. One of the challenges I've been having is thinking about how to format a table here for a transcript. And I'm really liking this approach now because I think that it allows you to line up the words with the text. If it's approached the other way, you've got something that's vertical. You're assuming that the video and the text are aligning, so the video's changing, but sometimes you have to sort of jam in a part of the video transcript in between words. So I don't know if there's an actual wrong way to do it, but some of the guidelines I've seen have said to actually think about it like a table. All right, so I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to get to work on this just a little bit, and we'll probably talk aloud as I go. Okay, here we go. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, just to see if this is even viable, we're going to take this part, and I'm going to take most of this. What I'm going to try to do is actually put it into Markdown so I can see if I can make it an HTML file without much issue. It's a bit like this session is pulling together everything I've talked about this term, because I want to make use of media. I want to make sort of tables, things like that. Okay, that did not work. So let's go back and go here. Give that a try. Okay, so it didn't want to make it a table, which is okay. Let's see if I can try this again. I take the whole thing and I copy it. Interesting. So it does not like that. That's okay though. What I can do I can make one more. Yeah, so what I'll probably have to do with this is create another table based on a past one that I've composed. So if I go to my introduction, when you're taking a step back for a bit on a project, it's helpful to come back and look at what you created in the past. So I made this table in the past. This is something I did in chapter 3. Okay. That's the intro. We've changed that already. I just want to get it on the page, right? That's one thing I always say when I'm workshop materials. Let's just get something down. Let's just see what we can produce. Okay, so where was I? I was on part 2. I think we can actually make this available now. There we go. Okay. That says div. I'm going to take this up here. Okay. That doesn't seem to like what I put on there, so we might need to do a little bit of work on this. Okay, you see how that's kind of cut off a bit? And that's created kind of a formatting issue, so we need to think about. So here's what I mean. If I make this hidden, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what we can see here, and let me know if you think this might work. We can put the transcript for this video right here so that it expands as when you click on it. I don't know. I'm a bit torn. Like I could embed it with the actual file and you could just read it that way, or I could make it a table. But again, like with the file, the only problem is you don't actually get a sort of aligned video, and you get the audio sort of transcript. You can add like sort of descriptions and things like that, audio description, but I'm not sure it's as satisfying as a table. So let's see. Let's give it a whirl. Okay. If I take this out again, I just need to see what it needs. That's the hard thing too. When I'm looking at my own work, I need to think about all the things I could potentially miss in the code. So this is a row. We have the video post. We have the video poster. Okay. So we probably need like an additional div tag to make it work. And somehow that looks okay. So I might just, say it's a magical trick. Okay. Now let's put this. We'll refresh this. Why is it doing that? Okay. I wonder if it's because it's kind of... I don't know. Let's see. That is one. This part else. Might be okay. So yeah, it's just giving me some props here. So we need to think about what's in there. I could try it this way. If I put it here. Yeah, that's going to create another issue. Let's try this. Okay, so that helps. I don't have the timestamp parts, but it's aligned up this way, so that's probably okay. Transcript part looks much better. It just pops out when I need it to. Now, one thing that I have to think about, again, like open ideas on, is can I make this transcript sort of open on click rather than being automatically opened? So I think I've done something in the code that has made that. Accidentally did that. So that's the challenge of that one. What I'll do is I'm going to pop this into Safari, doing kind of my own testing now. We're going to check this out, and we're going to move it over. Go back to this one. Oh, it keeps disappearing. That's not cool. All right. How is this? Okay, so it automatically opens. What I need to check on is basically how to change that in the code. So right now I'm at a point when I'm working on this, I'm trying to figure out some more technical things. When I've been giving this to folks to potentially workshop, they've looked at it and said, this makes sense to me. However, I was getting a bit tripped up on here in terms of usability. So for example, someone said to me recently, and I thought it was a very helpful thing to say, kind of changed a little bit about how I'm approaching parts of the book. Let's look at this now. 1 second. So these are video abstracts or audio abstracts, but I made them videos so that they're a bit more, I guess, optically interesting, potentially. So you can sort of see like how the text is running that way. It's just a way to break up the process and so forth. But they were saying I'm expecting video when I look at this, and I wouldn't know that unless I workshopped it with them, unless I sent them that. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. Now, if I check this out, how would I problem solve this? If I were just trying to solve this myself, which I'm doing. So if I'm looking at like button and collapsible, what I probably need is to look at this class in collapsible, which might be under what's called CSS, or my cascading style sheet. So that's certainly one way to maybe solve this. Let's look at that. We're going to find this. We're going to just type in collapsible. So hover over it. It says it wants to overflow hidden by defaults. Style the button that is used to open and close the collapsible content. Okay. So for some reason it's opening when we have it, and I don't know why. Content, set the I wonder if I get rid of this together. Could try to change this to hidden and see what happens. Trial and error, folks. That's what the name of the game is in writing. So let's look at this. Yep, does the same thing. And maybe that is a good thing, right? Like, do we think for accessibility reasons it's best to just keep it open and allow someone to scroll down? On the one hand, I do think that's totally acceptable. On the other hand, again, that's a very ableist thing to say as well. Thinking about hand sort of metaphors. I don't know. I think having it shrunk down seems to be like the standard. So it's part of it. It's just, I guess, usability wise, it's a little easier to like just see that. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. So how would we problem solve this? We go to, there's box. Is it? I wonder if it's because it's a box. It's another thing too. Style the button, hover over. So we're gonna Control Z this. going back. Button type. It might be because it's a box. I'm gonna check that. You're hearing all the clicks now. Okay, box. All right, that is not what I'm looking for. Maybe it is. Okay, let's see. Table size, thread, border collapse. So this is the one thing when you are looking at projects like this, or you're coding and doing things of that sort, or just solving some issue or having someone solve the issue with you in a workshop, make sure you keep a document of it, because what I'm sort of struggling with now is I don't know how I added that. I think I just did it quickly, and so I can't remember how I changed this part. So style the button that is used to open and close the content. Add a background color. Okay. Style the collapsible content note hidden by default. Okay. So this is labeled as content. I just don't know if it's referring to this one. So if it's because it's a table. So what I'm trying to do is line these two up, right? Like they know, they talk to each other. So this is what we do when we work on something like this ourselves. Sometimes it's helpful to. Oh, this thing continues to be pinned. I don't know why. Let's go back and open up a new tab. Okay, for some reason that one. Okay, we can see our Commodore folks. As long as we can see that, we're good. Okay, maybe this is what it was. Content. Okay, so what I didn't... Yeah, maybe that's what I didn't do. This is actually what I worked from. It has to be. It's the exact same code. JavaScript. So I likely did some kind of remix like this. It's a bit hard to see some of the stuff. So yeah, let me just how do I do this? Yeah, I don't have any notes today anyway, so I can reveal what's behind the camera. Okay, let's do this. And kind of work from it this way. A little bit in the middle. Okay. Right here, the code looks pretty similar. Let me make this one a little larger. Okay. Style the button. Okay, so I didn't even add that. That's what I'm seeing now. Order with text align left. So maybe what I need to do is actually just put this in, and we'll see if it does what I want it to do. So let's try that out. We will refresh this page. It's going to open it up. Oh, okay. I'm on. Okay. Yeah, that didn't really do what I wanted. So, I probably didn't add that because I already had a button. And we see again that it's actually open. So what we do here is we get a little sad, but we work through it. So hidden by default, collapse hold. So we don't need that part. And that's because I already have the button listed somewhere else. So maybe it's the JavaScript actually. Let's go to JavaScript is another part of writing for the web. It's usually thinking about the interactive elements, and it just that sort of are in tandem with style. So that's the very simple, probably underexplained way of thinking about it. Background collapse. Let's see. That is looking for that keyword collapsible. Okay, here's what we did. Content display, none. So I've taken that word for word. Why would you not do that? Event listener active. Get elements by class name. Okay, so it's looking for that. Let's see. Intro. Button type. Let's look at how they frame it this way. Open class. Alright, so it's in there. Button class, collapsible content. Don't know if it's because it's a table. That's another. Or we've got another thing added here. That's. I could even try this. Why not? Let's just get nuts. Let's get nuts. Okay. Oh, because it's not labeled as a table. That's right. So we'll try this. Okay. Style of collapsible content. Alright, so I'm gonna add this in. It says it's a div tag class content. Then we're gonna add this at the end. And it worked. But it looks so what we have here now is like, okay, here's the thing. Anytime you're workshopping your work, just keep in mind that like whether it's like an inanimate object like the internet that's helping you, or an ambient object like that, once they help you solve a problem, sometimes it will begat more problems. And so if you were looking at this earlier, you may have seen that like the text was there was like a stark contrast between each one of them, things like that. There weren't many issues, and now I've created this gray background. So I did get it to work. I'm very happy about that. It's like I planned it, right? I didn't actually. That was my plan to try to solve this problem, and I've done it. So that makes me happy. Yay me, yay us. But now I have this gray background. So all I'm going to do is go back to the code and change that part. So if I am at the CSS issue, go here. Let's look at the background color. It looks like it's a bit gray, so we want to make it white if we can. What is that going to look like? Let's see. What is the standard for white? Okay. If I go to color meter, digital color meter. Okay, yep, good. This is. Let's see. Nope. I'm trying to find it in terms of code, but I can just look that up. Okay. Let's see. Color syntax. I'm trying to come up with one that is totally white. And it's just basically because I can't remember at the moment. That's why. Let's do that. I mean, I could use that keyword value. It would be fine. So we could try that. Let's go back to this guy. Boom. Okay. Got it. I don't have a I don't have a box, but I think that's okay. If you have thoughts, I am all ears. Because the box previously let us sort of establish that this was contained. So I think we could actually do this. Let me check. What code likes is hierarchy. So if I'm at, let's say I'm at the introduction. If I said content, but I put a box tag under here, I think it would work. Let's check. You just need a second div tag. I think that may be okay. Let's try this. Actually, we probably have to save it. Okay, you are saved. Let's go. All right. So it's kind of. I mean, there's a. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that there's a boundary to it. I don't know. What do you all think? It doesn't quite see it again. Like, this is when you get picky. You're like, well, now I don't like that. So what do I do? I can put it like in. It's clean. It's sort of apparent. Then this isn't aligned here. Do I care about that? Is my question. Should I care about it? I don't know. Because I think the box was what was giving us the problem before. And then if we go back and check it out from there. Oh, that whole thing's gone now. Ugh, yikes. We don't want that. Okay. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Okay. What happens? You've betrayed me, code. Okay, now you're totally gone. Right, that's not nice. You don't want that. Okay. Okay, so let's refresh it. Let's check it out. All right. I mean, nice thing too is without the box, by that I mean like graphics sort of around it, we don't have to worry about so much about the thing being lined up. It would be nice though. Let me check. I can probably mess with it for a little bit longer. I have 3 seconds left though in this thing. We've got the bird thing going off. Okay. Okay. So that went okay. It's like I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I do want to check out one more thing because I'm actually going to take just a quick break anyways, like we do here on the chat every once in a while. So, content padding. If I take the padding out, what does that do? Okay, so that may have solved our problems completely. Look at that, right at the bell, just a little bit of overtime. I took out the padding in this code and figured it out. Do we like that better? That's what I would probably ask people in a more workshop format. Do you like the way this looks? And if so, what do you like about it? Right, that's the things. So now what I have to do is kind of plug in the different parts of my transcript and so forth, and then I've got something ready. But I'm going to consider this a little win. We've got a video transcript that we've, we'll just say, we've kind of workshopped, right? And we've been able to see that on click now, it actually opens up the entire thing. So it's accessible. It's right on the page. It's not like an outsourced transcript or anything like that, which in past workshops I've been told is a better idea than having it as a sort of tacked on thing. Okay, so I'm going to set this Pomodoro timer for 5 minutes. But I'll be back before that. I'm just going to pop out for about 2 minutes, just take a little stretch break, things like that, especially when you're going through either passive or more intense workshop. You want to make sure you still get break time in. Okay, be right back. Okay, we are back. Took a little break there. Just wanted to kind of step out for a minute. That's one thing I like to do is take frequent breaks, especially when you're kind of in the deep, right? And so if you're holding a workshop, make sure that you give people time to take that break, between each one or for every two, because looking through numerous projects in succession can be very exhausting. And again, just listening to that feedback and then having to speak to another person's work can be pretty exhausting. So, even sometimes when I'm workshopping with students, I like to do maybe one or two in a large group and then move on and then come back to it if we need to. But having everybody speak one at a time in a large group format usually doesn't work pretty well. I think it's better to just do even like a format where you're saying something like, okay, we're going to work in a large group, but we'll do a partner review first, and then you nominate one person from your group to actually speak on it for a bit more, or to be workshopped. So if you have 24 people, let's say, in a group, well, let's say you have 10 in your workshop group, you might want to just go into small groups, like five groups of two, and nominate one person from each group. So you're workshopping 5 pieces for the evening. 1 hour just to review and talk, half an hour, and then another hour to actually workshop, with breaks included. Okay, so just to count everything down and to kind of round out what we're doing here for today, I am going to set this to be a little shorter. It is about, let's look like about 10 minutes. What could I do reasonably in 10 minutes? What are some workshop tasks that I need to accomplish? I might ask myself. Let's go ahead and set that. Okay, so if I'm doing a review, for example, of this first page, I'm looking to make sure all the links are holding together. So far, so good. And this is like a pens down read through. I'm just doing kind of a review of the technical ends. It's just a way of kind of maintaining focus in perhaps in a workshop format. So we can see this like GIF that I posted. This picture might be slightly off. Let's just see if it actually formats when I make it smaller. So it fits when it's like that, but when you make it larger, you get a little bit off there. So that's maybe something I would note here. Take a little screenshot, and we'll pay attention to that. And that's another way you can even do this, is if you're doing it in a workshop format, you could actually mark this up a little bit and go, let's see, what's that? That is highlight, draw. So I'm going to say this. Nope. I'm trying to draw. Why won't you let me draw? Sketch. Okay. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep it length. So something I can do here is add a comment. Okay. What I'll say is, we've got spacing for this size of the screen. That is slightly off. Yeah, when you're reviewing web text, that's a way you could approach it, is taking screen grabs and offering comments as you go. If I make it even larger, what do we get? Not terrible. Not terrible. I mean, it might be just sizing because of the image itself. So if I look at it this way, Oh, this is added. Okay. If I look at now, what I'm noticing here is this word breaks. Probably okay though, because it does change. So look at the code. What I want to know is, did I break that line? And is it formatting it that way for that reason? So, yeah, it didn't do that. So, probably okay though. Not. So we see, like, when this shrinks, it kind of does that, and maybe that's okay, because it looks fine this way. But yeah, I don't know. What do we think? Is that seems to line up pretty well? It probably, what it doesn't want to do is, I'm guessing it doesn't want to add like it doesn't want to break the word, which I always appreciate. I'd rather do a line break than have it be like a hyphenated word. Let's see. Go here. And I've added a double table, so I need to change that. Table 1. This is also part of that box issue that I was highlighting that I could certainly fix. Like, if we just remove that box, does it actually matter? It wasn't even there before. So, wait. Let's see. So we probably need. No, it's okay. Because then every table would need that. This is probably something else I would ask in workshop. I'd say, do we need lines indicating where each of these are? Let me see, there's a kind of overflow now with this. I don't know if in the previous code that was the case. So I'm going to put this back just because I'm not ready to settle on that just yet. Yeah, maybe, you know what, I come to think of it, I probably haven't addressed this yet. So that would be part of my action plan, is to look at, we can see how this shrinks without any issue at all. So I need to either emulate this table, because I quite like that one, or fix the other one. Yeah, see how it's sort of contained in there? It's not looking the best. So, in giving feedback to myself, this is what I'm gonna say. Let's see. Yeah, so you see it's kind of doing that. It's not the best. Let's do this. text, format, like transcript table. That's another thing too. I could just make that a table that sort of is collapsible or folds out. You know, we want to use that sort of metaphor when I click on it, or do I want people just to kind of have to engage with it? That's an interesting thing too about doing web writing work. Like, tables in print are just there, right? You can't really avoid them. You can gloss over them, sure, but you have kind of a choice with web writing. Is well, you have a choice to give readers and viewers and users, you might say, a choice. So if I want to give them that choice, that's what I'm sort of debating. Let's see, okay. What's today's date? The 30th? Okay. All right. That's what I'll do with that one. All right, so that's another thing. These block quotes. I'm kind of stretching. Let's just see if we shrink it down. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we. Why is this doing it? I think maybe it's okay that it's doing that. No. Let me take another screenshot. This is what I'd say to somebody else if they were asking for some workshop here. Okay, that block quotes are. Another thing I could do, look at this now, is, okay, we've gone off. But that being said, I'm going to treat this short break as one more go at this because I want to know. And then we'll wrap up today's stream. Let's see. It could be because I didn't make this a paragraph, so let's try that. It does not like that. But why don't you like it? Sort of what I'm wondering. Kind of block quotes. Now, is it okay if I have it like that? So it still doesn't want to comply. Let's see, can we put a block quote tag in there? Try this. Yeah, I don't think it likes that, so I have to be kind of creative with it. Well, that's okay. Take that back. When in doubt, Control Z. It always helps. Okay. So I'm going to move to the end of the stream today. I love doing the stream. I'm just so grateful to get the support from the writing department to do this. Let's look at what else is available, what might be coming up, and just a reminder of what we did recently in the past. So, Writing Center. All right, so this brings us to the end of the stream we've been doing throughout the term. So this marks technically like our third term, because we did it all last year too. And yeah, finishing things up, November 30th. We have just a few weeks left of class. Just remember, as always, you can make appointments with the Writing Center to do those sort of one-on-one appointments and to really sound out the writing no matter what stage you're still at. I imagine most of you are moving into the very end of your projects. So these kind of ideas of workshopping, they're applicable to anyone. If you're workshopping together in a class, or you're doing it after class in small groups, you're doing it online, you're doing it in person, all of it is valued. So make sure you call on your peers whenever possible to get the support you need. And as always, come back to the live stream. We'll be doing some awesome stuff next year, beginning just shortly after the term starts. And so I'm still kind of thinking through some ideas. If there are things we didn't cover in the stream for this term, what do you want to see? Let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help you. So we did fall writing goals, writing for publication, writing under pressure, so time management kind of stuff. Writing is podcasting. You know, we did some stuff on the web. Maybe we could do another one on video. If you really like the writing in the senses, food and drinks, what else remains to be discussed? Do we want to say writing on location? Do you want me to go to a coffee shop somewhere in town, one of your favorite ones, or do a kind of tour of that? I'm pretty open, and I'm grateful that the department allows us to kind of experiment with, you know, this idea of sort of showing the writing process live. But we can also think of writing as revising, or writing as insert as you want to. Lots of ideas there. But that's going to do it for me for today's stream. I had fun kind of showing a little bit about my process and talking for a little while about, how writing streams tend to work and things like that. So all the best with the rest of the work that you're doing this term. And as always, keep in touch on YouTube and any other platforms. You know where to find me at York. Happy to talk to you in any way. Okay, thanks. Bye. Have a great term. And holiday break and winter break.